Even Grandpa Munster from the Munsters was dressed the same way.
Yeah. That might be the, other than maybe James Bond.
You take a look at the character and you're like,
I know
who that is.
Where you take a look at the character and like, I think that what I'm saying about that is like the way Sean Connery came along, and either every Bond after him was either better or worse or whatever. It was always a reaction to how much he was the character. And it's hard for anyone coming after that to do anything without him being part of it. You don't see a lot of roles that are that groundbreaking. In fact, now, I mean, even something like the Joker, Nicholson's Joker and Ledger's Joker, you can appreciate both of them.
Oh, yeah.
And they have nothing to do with each other. And it's not like Ledger did his to not be like Nicholson's, and it's not like Nicholson did his to not be like, what's his...
They just put
Caesar,
their own spin on the character.
That wasn't Sin Caesar. Who's the guy in the Batman TV show?
Caesar Romero.
Caesar Romero, I knew it was Caesar something.
And no more will they jeer and scoff or cut their circulation off. Oh, if they do not see the joke, pull the ropes and let them choke.
Which I always got a kick out of because he refused to shave his mustache, so they always painted over it.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I always saw something was off, but I couldn't figure it out until I got older. I was like, wait a minute, the Joker's got a mustache.
The point I'm getting to there is that there are other iconic characters that actors can, where the character's already there, well established in the mind of the audience, and the actor can do what they want. But that you can't do that with Dracula. You can't even read the book Dracula now.
And not picture Lugosi.
Picture Lugosi.
You're right. Well, that goes for all the characters. Well, the Invisible Man, not so much, because he's just... Well, yeah, because he's got the bandages and the sunglasses.
Visually, yeah. Well, the way they came up with seeing him...
It was genius.
It was genius.
I love when the pants are dancing down the road.
Yeah.
That scene cracks me up every time, where the pants are running down the road and he's singing, you know...
Here we go gathering nuts and may on a cold and frosty morning. Whoops!
But yeah, all the characters that Universal created, like, they're so iconic, they're still the same today. Except the only difference now is that Universal is far more protective of their characters.
Yeah.
Because up until the 80s, they were like, you could license these characters, do what you want. The last time anyone was able to play around with them and make them look like they were supposed to look was Stan Winston for Monster Squad.
What I'm going to say about this is that, and this is the reason that I think we can't get away from this being the first Halloween show, is that even like the way people decorate their house for Halloween is somehow influenced by the Universal monsters.
Yeah. Well, even like kids' costumes, they're still the same like all these years later.
Whether it's the Mummy or...
Oh, we forgot the Mummy. We've been naming off everybody else, but we kind of forgot him.
The Mummy. Is it dead or alive? Human or inhuman? You'll know. You'll see. You'll feel the awful, creeping, crawling terror that stands your hair on end and brings a scream to your lips.
Well, but, I mean, that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
Like, all these... Every take they came up with was the precisely right take.
Okay.
It was not a... Oh, they shouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah.
None of it was.
They set the
and
standard.
And it's funny you said what would be my favorite. Well, I like the character arcs in Frankenstein. I like Lugosi's Dracula. I think it's great that Karloff could be the Mummy too. I think it's great that they could come up with something as off the wall as the creature from the Black Lagoon. The suit is amazing for that. That's one of the all-time
Did you see how they
best
promoted
suits ever
that?
designed.
Have you ever seen how they promoted that?
No.
I forget what TV show it was, but they had like, you know, all the Universal monsters, and like they had like I think it was like a coffin or something, and then like the door of the coffin blows off on the stage, and here comes the creature, and like the audience was like, oh my god!
What a great suit!
Yeah,
I mean that's the suit that launched 1,000.
Pretty much.
1,000 careers.
1,000 ripoff too.
Well, no, 1,000 careers and
Yeah.
creature suit design.
Yeah.
I mean, there's. I guarantee you, like, you know, little Stan Winston watched that.
Oh,
and,
definitely.
Like, was like, I got to do this.
Well, hell, his like first movie was Octoman. He made like an octopus creature, so
They're just great. Not only are they great, they're like must-own things.
there's plenty of ways to own them
Didn't
now.
they come out with a big box set?
They just Universal. I think
It's
it was
like
last month.
$100 or something.
It's expensive, but it has every single movie. There's a lot of cool extras. It even contains Spanish Dracula. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Escúchelos, son los hijos de la noche. Qué hermosa música componen.
It was shot the same time as the original Dracula was, but with an all Spanish-speaking cast. And they used the same sets, and the storyline's relatively the same, but it's a much more energetic film, and it's interesting to watch. So if you ever get the chance to check it out,
I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
At some point.
All right. So you can't pick a favorite, is what you're saying. You just love them all.
Who could?
I'll tell you, The Mummy is like my least favorite.
I like
The Mummy.
the backstory of The Mummy the best, though, I think.
I don't even remember what it is. Enlighten me. Like, is it like the remake from the 90s?
Somewhat.
Okay.
I mean, he is trying to rejuvenate himself for that reason.
But it's like a love story, right? He's doing it to come back,
yeah.
and
They all have something that's tough. It's really... I mean, like, okay, so The Mummy's your least favorite, but do you hate The Mummy?
I don't hate The Mummy.
See?
Yeah. I'm just saying he's my least favorite.
There's nothing on earth like the Mummy.
I'm more inclined to like Creature from the Black Lagoon. It just fits in more with my sensibilities. As
All right. Well, I'm going to try and segue to what we really want to talk about, I think.
What's
and
that?
that's Monster Squad.
Monster Squad.
We're the Monster Squad.
The reason I want to segue to that is these movies were so influential that they launched entire studios.
Oh, yeah.
And Hammer films would not exist without these movies.
Oh, man, Hammer.
Hammer wouldn't be there without what Universal did. A lot of what Roger Corman chose to do was greatly influenced by these Universal monster movies. They not only created these iconic creatures and characters, but they made something that you wanted to sort of write a love letter to.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that other filmmakers could creatively ape in a way that wasn't disrespectful. It's one of the broadest reach legacies, I think, in film, is what they did with their choice in horror monster movie making. And what I'm saying about that is that finally we get to something as great as Monster Squad, which holds a much lower rating on Rotten Tomatoes than I think it should.
Yeah, they don't understand that. It's cool, though. It's like the Universal monsters team up and fight the Goonies.
You could say it that way, but
Well, that's the way I would put it for like someone asked me a quick synopsis. And that typically wins people over when I say that, because the Goonies is a highly regarded kids movie from back in the 80s. But only if you've seen it back in the 80s. If you're late to the game,
you're looking through a glass darkly when you look at it that way.
Yeah.
Like
that kind of
it's
cheapens
a movie
it.
that can't exist without you having knowledge of the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have to already have love for the Universal monsters, and then want to buy into this premise of kids going up against them. So when you see it when you're the same age as those kids,
oh, it's great.
It's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
I think the problem is when you try to, and this is probably why it has a 50% rating, when you try to get an adult to watch it, it's so hard to get back to your 12-year-old self.
Yeah. It is one of those films, if you didn't grow up with it, you don't understand the love people have for it.
I think that it's, in an odd way, maybe I try to make things too much about movies that I like.
Yeah.
But it's sort of the Pacific Rim of the Universal monster movie realm, because without a predetermined love for kaiju films, Japanese cinema, you're going to struggle to really get what Pacific Rim is about. You have to sort of know a little bit about anime, about the mech suit culture, and about kaiju culture to really get Pacific Rim and what Del Toro was really paying homage to.
Fully allow yourself to be immersed in the universe.
Well, I mean, you could still accept the movie for what it is. It's not a poorly done movie at all.
Yeah.
But, like, in order to make your heart go aflutter, because you know what he's saying, because he's speaking your language as a nerd, you have to have done the groundwork before that. It's the same thing with Monster Squad.
Yeah.
You had to have not only seen and loved those movies, but understood that that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
It's aces for me, what they do.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's just fun, and it doesn't disrespect the characters. It finds a fun way to bring them all together in a way that let's go ahead and say it, in a way that Universal didn't do.
That's true. And it does two things 100% correctly.
Yeah.
It doesn't make the monsters a joke. It treats them like a real threat.
Yeah.
They're played straight.
Give me the amulet, you bitch!
And also, the kids act like kids. They talk like kids do. Like, it feels natural when you're watching it. Especially,
yeah, it does.
Especially when they're talking about the Wolfman. Like, how come the Wolfman always wore pants so nobody saw his wolf dork?
Yeah.
And that actually comes back later in the movie as kind of like a joke.
Yeah,
because
Wolfman's gotten hard.
Kick him in the nose! Kick him in the nose! He just had nose! Do it! Do it! Wolfman's got nards!
Because, no, they blow the Wolfman up,
Yeah.
and he comes back together, but his pants are still intact.
Well, okay, here we go, though. Like, there was a desire, as a kid of the 80s, there was a desire to see things get remade because you wanted to see it in 80s makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Because 80s makeup is still the best makeup.
Oh, yeah.
And we knew it at the time.
And we
The
still know it
80s is
now.
the most self-aware decade ever. And we knew we were making great, hard-edged, realistic movies
Yeah.
at the time. I mean, everything was rated R. The makeup was always great.
Oh, yeah.
Special
Well,
effects
they were
always
pushing
great.
boundaries. There's the decade of decadence.
And to see those classic monsters done with awesome makeup like that, that's an awesome
Oh, yeah.
creature from the
And
Black Lagoon. That's an awesome Frankenstein. Even Dracula, like, of course, it apes Lugosi, but it's done well.
Yeah, and he feels threatening, too. He's not like a...
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like a cheap knockoff of Lugosi.
Yeah, and the woman vampire, the vampiress, or
Oh, the Vampire Brides?
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, those are creepy as hell.
they contact lenses.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially, isn't she like chewing on a possum when Van
Oh,
Helsing breaks
yeah,
in the beginning?
yeah.
There's a lot of cool things in that movie too. If you watch it again, when they're showing Dracula's crypt beneath the castle while they're rolling the credits,
Yeah.
you actually see like an armadillo come walking through. I love that movie. I want to watch it right now, actually. After the
If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have seen it, you know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I think that probably the best thing about Monster Squad is that it's probably the only Shane Black movie ever that didn't try to work Christmas into the whole thing. I was surprised to see Shane Black was attached to this movie.
Yeah.
I think you could say that he helped the naturalistic kid dialogue.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
he is very good at dialogue.
He is.
But I think Fred Dekker took the reins as far as keeping the tone where it needed to be.
Fred Dekker is great and underrated.
I think what we're actually saying, and I'm glad that I finally came to it, is that Monster Squad does a better job of acknowledging, paying homage, and explaining Universal classic monsters than we just did for the last half an hour.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And if you really want to understand why we love Universal classic monsters, why Halloween is all about them, and will always be now, then watch Monster Squad. It's a good primer where you won't have to really sit through 30-plus movies.
If it was made today, it would give you the origin story of each friggin' monster before you got into meat and potatoes.
That's a fun scenario. If Monster Squad was made today, what would be different? Number one, it wouldn't be as edgy with the kid dialogue.
Yeah.
Number two, it would not be as in love with the monsters.
Yeah. Number 3, CGI.
Number 4, post 3D, whatever.
3D post-conversion.
Yeah, 3D post-conversion.
Number 5, lots of shaky cam. They would ruin it, basically. And actually, there was a Monster Squad remake in the works, and Fred Dekker was not asked about it or included. He didn't have to be, but he felt wronged because they didn't come to him and say, Fred, we're going to do a remake of your movie. We'd like some of your input on these ideas. I am happy to report, however, that the Monster Squad remake is officially dead.
Good.
It is buried. Platinum Dunes is not making it anymore. Actually, I found that on...
Wait, Platinum Dunes? Is that the...
That's Michael Bay's company.
Oh, thank God that fell apart.
I can't say enough good things about Monster Squad. I mean, I grew up with it. I wore out 2 VHS tapes in that movie. I bought it on DVD when it came out finally, and then I upgraded to the Blu-ray disc because I'm a psychopath.
I don't want to take it to a realm where this is the best movie ever.
It's not.
But
We're fans.
What
We
I
love
want
it.
to say about the movie is that what it does right is that it pays respect. That is all it's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not trying to, like, every movie now, if it is greenlit, it's greenlit because, well, we have enough of a built-in audience to get a good opening weekend.
Yeah.
That isn't what's going on with Monster Squad. What Monster Squad was doing is, oh, God, we love these movies. Let's figure out a way to,
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, we love that there's a built-in audience for Universal Monsters. That wasn't their approach. Their approach was, we like this, let's work it in a modern way